Hello and welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Today we're talking about our double wedding ring quilt and the fabric selections that I've made along the way and the recent decisions I've made regarding a border and what fabrics to make with those. I wanted to step back to the beginning of when I started making this quilt and advise you of some of the fabric choices that were made and when they were made, why they were made. This is a English paper piecing ring pattern. It is not your traditional pieced pattern where you're sewing all the pieces together and then you're sewing them on the football and then you have the little square in the middle of the ring with the curves. This is constructed with English paper piecing and then they are joined together to create arcs and circles, intertwining circles. So when I first received this, it was an overwhelming thought process of how many different fabrics you had to have. And I really wasn't sure how big I wanted to make it. When I ordered the pieces, at the time I think you had the choice between ordering enough for 3 rings, which would have been like a runner size, probably about this long, 36, 40 inches, something like that. Or I had the option of ordering enough pieces for, I think it was 35 rings, which would have been 5 rings by 7 rings. And I wasn't really sure that that was enough, but I knew enough about English paper piecing to know that I could reuse the papers in a few rings to make it larger. And as it turned out, this quilt is a little larger. I think we've talked about it being 7 rings by 7 rings before. It is large enough to go on a queen-size bed, but it needs more drop. So back to the fabric. At the time I purchased this, I purchased all the fabric with fat quarters. And this was what happened to be in, I think, on maybe 2 Saturdays going into the fabric store. And this allowed me the flexibility to buy a bunch of different fabrics, have enough of a variety that it went together well, but not so much that you were constantly trying to figure out, what fabric came next. It was a pattern of green, blue, yellow, pink, blue, and purple. And then that repeated itself from ring to ring. So everything is pretty similar. When I started doing this, I did not know how much I needed. So when I would go in and find the fabric that I had chosen before, the fabric I needed, I bought every piece they had on the display. And I think I went 2 or 3 Saturdays and got everything I needed. And I think that on as we started getting close to the end, the green fabric became very limited. You couldn't find it anymore, so I purchased another green fabric that I've interspersed in here a little bit. They are so close that you can't really, color-wise, you can't really tell. And then back to our border debacle, there's the purple fabric, which, as it turns out, I have just about a yard, well, not quite a yard and a quarter left, but it's in fat quarters. Now, if this had been a yard and a quarter and a piece of yardage, this would have been an easy decision, but it's not. So that either means that you're using this and you're making a whole lot of seams and it's going to be kind of choppy looking in that border. And they're going to be small borders for the purple, so that's going to be a little difficult to manage. I think maybe I'll just save this is my thought process, for either some pillow shams or some other trim that I might decide to add later. So that's how this progressed and the thought process. And then when I went to look for fabric for the borders, I found something, I don't know if you can see that, the gray for the background, a solid purple, and then I've got the yardage. This was the only fabric that I bought in yardage because I could not find another fabric to go with the fat quarters. And at some point you've got to stop looking. And I think that's at the phase that I am at now. I went yesterday again because I'm not 100% happy with this solid purple for the border. I love the color. I think the color is gorgeous. I just don't know if it goes with the fabrics that I already have. So I went looking for something a little more, I don't know, dusty maybe? If I can compare these two, you can see there is a difference. I mean, they're close. They go together, but there's a difference. And I bet I spent an hour in the fabric store looking for any fabric that came close to coordinating with any of these colors in here. And unfortunately, there just was nothing that was a good fit. If you got something, I think I did find something in the yellow that was a comparable color with the same kind of vibrancy and tone of that yellow, hue of that yellow, but it just didn't look like it was right. So I found this, and using the little pieces that I took with me, because I took a sample of all the colors with me, I said, well, maybe this one is better. It's got a little bit of modeling in there, so there's a little bit of texture. There was nothing with a printed design. There was nothing with a comparable design. It's as if when they choose these fabrics from year to year, and this has started probably a good 3 years ago at this point, the colors just aren't the same. The patterns aren't the same. So I would recommend, if you're going to start a large project, buy a bunch of fabric. It'll be more than you need, but if you change your mind or you develop a new idea about the quilt later on, you'll have the resources that you need to finish it. So here I am back to thinking about which fabric it's going to be. I'm not going shopping again, so it's going to be one of these. And then, so the question is, which one? This one's a little darker, which plays into the darker of the purple. This one has a little bit of texture in it with the, I think they even maybe call it grunge, because it looks like it's a fabric that's been dyed, and the dye hasn't taken solidly and consistently along the fabric. So which one do I use? I'm torn. I really am. Which one? This looks very modern. This looks a little more old-fashioned. But this one, for some reason, reminds me of Easter. Every time I look at it, I think Easter egg. I think bunnies. It's hard for me to get past that to try to figure out what I'm going to need. So I am going to take a little time to think about this again. I am so sorry that I've thrown a wrench into our project plans, but that's the way it is sometimes. And you have to be able to pivot and go a different direction. I think we even talked about that a little bit in one of our previous episodes. So, which one? Let's go back to looking at it with the pink. Which one goes? Whoops, we lost that one entirely. Honestly, I think the solid one goes better with the pink. The pink is very sweet. It's very old-fashioned. This one just looks modern to me. Okay, so I'm going to make a decision right here, and we're not going back on it. We're going with the solid purple. We'll use this one in another project, and we're going to move forward. Now, I cut 2 little swatches of each one, so we'll put that one aside. We'll pull out this pink fabric and this little swatch, and we'll flip it just like it would with a little seam in it. Wish I'd have thought to. I think that's it. That's what we'll go with. So my next step is to do some quick measurements. I think what I'm going to go with here is about a 1 to 1 1/4 inch finished strip for the purple, and maybe a 3-inch strip for the pink. And then we'll put the purple right up next to the white edge of the quilt top. Let's bring this back a little bit. I think I'm just about out of the zone there. So we'll have this. The question will be, will I put a white strip between the pink and the purple? I think I will. So it'll be a small purple strip, a 3-inch pink strip, and then I'm going to put a 2-inch white strip, which will be the same fabric as the background of the quilt, around that. And then the binding will be either in a pink if we have enough fabric, or the gray to match the back as we move forward. I don't think we're going to do it in the purple because I just think that's too vivid. If we're going to use this, we're going to use it as a small accent and leave it at that. So that's my plan right now. Again, I apologize for kind of throwing this wrinkle into the plan, but that's the way it is sometimes. This is a creative endeavor. And when you're taking a quilt that you are creating, I mean, you're not just following a pattern. And I have made quilts where I just simply followed the pattern and they turned out gorgeous. But sometimes you want something that really reflects how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what your creative nature is going to produce. And that's when sometimes you have these challenges, making decisions and taking it on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward with this. And I will try to bring you along with some of the sewing. That we are going to do this by machine, create these borders to put on. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this strip, cut the pink strips, and sew them together to make, well, I may go one further. I may do the purple, the pink, and the white together. So we're putting one fixed border onto the quilt top. I think that will be best. And I'm going to try to put this together with some mitered borders. I think that will be the prettiest way to proceed with this and give a little interest on those corners. So as I get into that process, I will pop in either as a little short to show you some of the machine stitching and the finished product of that border, and we will pick this up next time. If this has been interesting to you, seeing how I'm making some of these decisions and the thought process behind it, I would encourage you to like our videos so we will know that we're on track with showing things that you want to see. And subscribe to our channel. There is a little bell over there that you can click that will allow you to be notified when new videos are published on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook as well, as we do provide some pictures from time to time of what's happening between videos. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you and have a great day.